Hi, my name is Daniel Flowe, and it's my absolute privilege to welcome you to a new video series we're calling The Short Story. So just last month, FinCEN released a highly anticipated report on identity-related suspicious activity. The biggest revelation from this report is that almost half the total number of BSA reports filed with FinCEN in 2021 were in some way related to identity. Those reports were 1.6 million in quantity, but they totaled $212 billion in value. That is a staggering amount of suspicious activity that can be directly linked to identity, reminding all of us just how widespread identity-related exploits are and how important it is for us to get identity right. The report categorizes the three common ways that attackers defraud institutions and individuals. Number one is impersonation. Most attackers use impersonation. Impersonation is simply when you take steps to conceal your true identity and attempt to transact as someone else. So number two was compromise. Compromise is when attackers use compromised credentials or gain illicit access to systems in order to bypass identity verification processes. Interestingly, compromise is the most costly form of attack based on the data in our report. And third is circumvention. Circumvention was the least common identity exploit, but it certainly happened well represented in the data. And circumvention is when an attacker or fraudster takes steps to bypass, to circumvent, or to otherwise work around an identity verification process. One of the things that I found most interesting in the whole report are the data points related to MSBs or money services businesses. Now, almost every financial institution contained in the report said that their number one most common attack vector was impersonation. This makes sense. We just detailed that impersonation is the most common attack vector experienced by financial institutions, except for by money services businesses. So MSBs reported circumvention as comprising not just more than any other type of attack, but more than half their total attacks. And MSBs were incredibly well represented in the data. So they're the number two reporter of identity-related suspicious activity. So this is more than a small anomaly. This is a really interesting outlier for us. So what this suggests is that these circumvention attacks primarily composed of using straw men for third-party money laundering and circumventing standards. It's uniquely focused on MSBs as a type of FI. Now, MSBs obviously covers a broad swath of institution types, and they're all subject to the same AML requirements as any other financial institution. But it does imply that scammers and money launderers are probing and investigating different MSBs to try to find weaknesses they can exploit. Jimmy Kirby, the deputy director of FinCEN, said, to get financial services right, we've got to get identity right. Now, I'll read his words here, that means implementing identity solutions that preserve privacy, promote financial inclusion, and protect the integrity of the financial system. To me, this report serves as a really important baseline on the state of identity-related exploitation, with a ton of good data behind it. If you're an organization at risk of identity-related exploits, and I would go so far as to say that based on the data in this report, if you're a financial institution, you're by definition an organization at risk of identity-related exploits. We encourage you to take a look, maybe start with the NIST digital identity guidelines that FinCEN used as a framework for this report. NIST really does a fabulous job of laying out the different options for identity verification, how to combine them for different levels of assurance, and how you can be confident that your risk profile and the steps that you're taking to verify identity match, and that you're putting a good solution in place. For all the consumers out there, please take steps to protect your information. Thank you for tuning into this first episode of The Short Story. We really hope to see you around for future episodes. Thank you. Goodbye.